A very good evening to you. My name is Carol Commander. Welcome to Try Time, where we talk about rugby. And I have my guests. No, not I hate calling you guys guests.
Because we're not
Because
guests.
you're not guests. But it just comes automatically because
We're part of the furniture now. This is
You
home.
know,
No.
Carol doesn't like this thing that us guys are permanent here.
Yeah, in fact,
So
sometimes
you'd like to
So-
put us on edge by saying we're guests. It's okay. Whatever rocks your boat.
you see,
assume we're guests.
this is you concluding stuff.
No.
how can
And-
we be guests and we are going to the
Okay,
Kenya final?
fine.
Wenyeji.
Welcome, Benja. Welcome, Lavin.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very
Thank
much.
you very
Resident furniture.
much. In fact, sometimes
Is that okay?
don't be surprised if you meet me downstairs and we don't have a show. I'm just hoovering.
Just maneuvering.
Yeah, just hoovering.
Perambulating.
Yeah, I have a meeting elsewhere, but let me just come hoover around before I go for my next.
You know what? Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Remember that you can follow us via our social media handles at Bamba Sport, and remember the hashtag to use is hashtag TryTimeKE. And there should be a link somewhere if you want to share it. There's a YouTube link somewhere on our handle, so you can use it as well. So we are going to start. Ooh, my chair is moving. We're going to start with what happened this past weekend. That is the Kenya Cup semi-finals. Of course, we're all waiting for the big weekend, the finals. But before that, KCB Kenya Harlequins, 46-13. Now this game, wow, Benja.
They simply outplayed us. They made a lot of mistakes that were costly. And the better team took home the prize.
Yeah.
I think they were very clinical in the execution. They made very few mistakes, if any at all. I think the mistakes accounted from them were probably just two liners that didn't go well. One they recovered, another one we had.
Yeah.
And overall, they played in the territory that they needed to play. They played in our half for the longest of times. So they did very well in terms of keeping the football. So
If you would pick probably the biggest mistakes that Kenya Harlequins made,
we're just not keeping our ball. That's it. It's not. There's no gray area. If you can't keep your ball, you can't score. We lost a lot of ball from careless play.
Yeah.
Some from just not taking care of the ball. So those were mistakes that we need to cut out for us to win the championship.
yeah.
Yes.
I think just like Benja said, the mistakes that Kenya Harlequins made were punished immediately. You find that a loose pass here, and they turn over the ball, plays one or two phases. They're in the Queens 22.
Yeah.
Then you saw Andrew Monde barging off for the try. I think he had a massive game. And as well, the other thing I like to commend KCB is their defense, because the one-on-one tackles, they were making them, unlike Kenya Harlequins. And you see at this level where it's basically knockout rugby, you cannot afford to start slow, because KCB is one of the teams, once they get ahead, it's very hard to catch up. So the midfield, where we saw Frank Wanyama try to bash it up the way he's been doing throughout the season, the combinations of Brian and I forget his name, the number 13.
That's Kilonzo.
Yeah, Kilonzo. That partnership is very solid, especially on
Very
defense.
extremely. I think they've improved over the season as well.
Yeah, they've improved. And you see one thing about Brian, Tico, as he's fondly known, he's one of the veterans of the team,
Yes.
because he's one of the players who's risen through the ranks. I don't think I've seen him playing for any other club.
No, he hasn't.
Yeah, so he's a player who
He's been there
rose.
at least 13 years.
Exactly, he rose from the second team and he's become a solid. He's not the flashiest of players, because he won't give that flashy pass, but he does his basics very well, and he's a very solid defender.
Yes.
So Frank Wanyama, despite the fact that he's a big ball carrier and tried to run through, on most occasions he was being stopped dead in his tracks.
Yeah.
And this resonated across the board, because Queens are finding it hard to break the gain line. You find that KCB were picking out their men and putting in the solid tackles. In cases where you find the big ball carriers from Harlequins, they were not even shy to put in double tackles, just to ensure that they starve Queens of the gain line. Having said that, I was quite impressed with the Queens prop, Tairu, because he had, in open play, he was availing himself very much to carry the ball. Unfortunately, on the day, they could not translate that.
Yeah.
And the knock-ons in very, very key positions on the pitch denied Kenya Harlequins chances to score. And like Benja said, KCB were very, very clinical, and they capitalized on Queen's mistakes and took their chances very well.
Yeah.
And it's just unfortunate that this scoreline was much bigger, at least from the Queen's perspective.
I'd like to. Melvin has been a newfound face at Harlequins this season. In the beginning of the season, he couldn't hold a football, and he played in the second team.
Yeah.
So he's come through the ranks so well.
He's improved.
For me, those kind of improvements are very key to our growth as a club. And now that Lavin says it, I think he has become, from that player 6 games ago would not even be on the bench, let alone starting. So he's come through the ranks. I think he's one of those players that you need to watch. He's pretty young too.
Yeah.
He's, I think, 22 or something.
Wow.
Yeah. So we've got a good player in him.
I'm just looking at one thing I like to point out from KCB. You find that every time KCB are playing a team that they know will challenge them physically, they play Mosetti at number 10 because Mosetti is a very solid tackler.
Yeah.
Now, as a number 10, personally, as a number 10, if I find that if you concentrate too much on defending and tackling, you don't play your role very well.
Yeah.
Now, this is something that perhaps going forward, playing Cabras in the finals, this is something that they could target, because you find if you force Mosetti to tackle, that's when your legs get weak. That's when game plan goes out of the window. Because Mosetti is a number. He plays between 10 and 12.
Yeah.
And I think for him,
he's more adapted to the 12.
Exactly, he's more adapted to the 12.
The playmaker.
One thing I'd advise him is just try and balance it, how you play the number 10 role and how you play the number 12 role.
Yeah.
Because you find that if you're in the number 10 and you play more of like a 12, means that ball will not reach your 12, it will not reach your 13. And as the game goes on, you find that your kicks won't find touch because you're tired. You know, you need to control the game. You won't be talking as much.
I think Kat is also banking on his leadership skills too.
Yes.
I think on the day, he actually led in, I think that's the fastest line speed I've seen in KCB since the season started.
Yes.
The line speed was really good. It denied us a lot of go forward because you caught the ball and just before you got the green line, they're on your case. And that's because he led that very well. And again, it's got its pros and cons. So I think Lavin is a better 10 than I ever could have been. So when he gives such advice, we take note.
But I think I don't know. It's a testament to the preseason training that they did in South Africa. Because I mean, obviously we ridicule them. So I mean, it's fun banter that you've gone to South Africa, you lost against Nordies. But you see, these are some of the things they picked. Because if you look at how the South Africans play on the defense, they use the line speed, and you find it's very effective if you do it as a team.
Yeah.
But if you do one-off line speed, that's when you can get split with either the pass or the back.
Or the dog leg appears.
Or the dog leg and someone just changes.
This is probably something
angle.
they picked up from their preseason.
No, they've done well.
They've done it well. I think they've just perfected
it.
Yeah.
And they needed to do that because Kenya Harlequins has a very little backline. Wanyama and Ambunya, and obviously on the wings they are playing Olaba. So that's a very little backline. And they were alive to the fact that the backline could stretch them. That's why they chose to implement the high line speed and the high press, which I think for them, it worked well for them on the day.
Yeah. Now let's talk about our friend, Coach Curtis.
Yes.
Curtis is always,
in the first half, I feel like there was a time the play was interrupted.
Yes.
And everything was stopped and he was the highlight.
Yes, it's because, okay, this is what happened. One of his best players, Chenge, got a head injury. He got a knock that sent him to the chillers. And usually in international rugby, your head injury is assessed, then you can come back onto the field. However, because we do not have the adequate medical facilities to do that within our fields, a circular was sent a fortnight ago that we will have anybody who has a head injury will be subbed and not come back to the field.
Will not continue
now
with the game.
If you look at the win against Mwamba the weekend before, which was the Enterprise Cup semi-final, KCB were of the opinion that the referees have ganged up against them. And it was a very tense game.
They have a vendetta.
No, I think it was versus Impala.
It was versus Impala, yes. Sorry, not was versus Mwamba. And somebody walked into the field, and there's even a fan who went to ask the referee what it is exactly he's been doing in his free time. So that mentality has grown into the week. And remember, it was very bitter for them to be kicked out of Enterprise Cup.
Yeah.
So coming to this weekend, of course, Curtis being the charge guy that he is, thought that the same vendetta was being applied.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I didn't think he knew about the circular. Because World Rugby says that somebody can be examined,
Yeah.
Can be extensively examined, then come back to the field. But we don't have the facility, and we couldn't have done that. So he was pretty charged on the day.
You know-
And it was a bit unfortunate that it got as ugly as it did.
Yeah.
Him having a standoff with the referee.
The referee, yeah.
It ought not to have gotten to that level.
Yeah.
No, actually, not just the referee. He got into a standoff with Okwemba, who's
In charge of
referees,
the
in charge of the
Association.
referees association. So it was resolved later on, and
Yeah.
play was waved on.
I think when I was watching obviously the game, I was trying to understand what the exchange was, but listening to Benja, and I can pick from an example from the Cabras versus Mwamba game, because in that particular game there was a similar incident. Now this one it was not necessarily a concussion, but it was a cut to the eye, like the eyelid. There was a cut to Max Adaka. Now James Ondiege is recognized as official team doctor for the Kenya Rugby
So Kenya
Union.
Rugby Union.
He traveled with the Simbas to the repechage. So he's been given that role. He's even attended training
He's well
outside
trained.
the country.
Yeah.
He's a qualified doctor. So he was on the touchline.
Yeah.
And he went
So
into the pitch.
he assessed.
He
He went into the pitch and assessed the situation and advised the Cabras technical that Max was not fit to continue. Now, the technical of Cabras, led by their physio, ironically, saw that it was malicious from the part of Ondiege because he's a Mwamba player. He's a Mwamba fan.
Yeah.
But for me, I was quite surprised because you don't see
The danger.
James as being professional enough to see above his club
affiliation.
Yes.
affiliations to give his professional opinion, which has
Yes.
been charged by Kenya Rugby
Which
Union.
comes first before the
Before
club
him
affiliation?
being a
Exactly,
fan.
exactly. And you see, it's unfortunate because in as much as this is your captain, it's a high-stake game, but you have to look at it beyond
Safety,
rugby.
man.
Yeah.
It's player safety. You have to look at it beyond rugby. That's why World Rugby has been very categorical in terms of tackling. They are very keen on player safety. And this boils down to such situations. Because what happens if you allow the player to go back in?
Who takes
then-
responsibility?
Yeah.
And there's the eyelid actually plays a role. That's why it's there.
I'm
So
thinking, eyelid.
if it's compromised and it's
Yeah.
a contact sport, we don't want to imagine what can
Your
happen.
eyes in danger
Yeah.
to start with.
But
yeah.
but I
Just the sight.
was really disappointed. A section of the Cabras management so that James
It was malicious.
It was malicious.
And-
He was not
yeah.
giving his opinion as a doctor, but
as a
as
Mwamba
fan.
affiliate.
a Mwamba affiliate,
Yeah.
which I
That's
think is
nonsense,
unfortunate.
really.
Yeah.
We have to think about player safety beyond
beyond
rugby.
I've
rugby.
always been saying there's the difference between rugby clubs and rugby teams.
Yes.
That was a rugby team thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. A rugby club
I
is
knew you
a
had
rugby
to.
club
I-
is
you just
a
had
rugby
to.
club cares about their players, and that's why Curtis calmed down when it got to the player safety.
Yes.
Nobody thought it was malicious.
Wow. There's a difference between a rugby club and a rugby team.
Yes.
Guys, take notes. Cabras versus Mwamba, 23-11. Lavin, you were there.
I was there.
Mwamba fought.
Yeah,
I mean,
actually,
according to the result,
yes.
Mwamba fought.
And I think we like we mentioned last week, we were not under any illusions that it was going to be easy.
Yeah.
Because traveling away to Kakamega, even playing Cabras at home, it's always difficult
Yeah.
because they're a top side. They've decided to invest in talent from within and also without across
Outside
the border.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's bearing fruits at least for the moment. And going into this particular game, we came off. A huge loss against Impala, which people like to remind me throughout.
Extreme,
But
yeah.
but
I don't know why you're looking at me. I don't know why you're looking at me.
but there was a morale boost win against Nakuru.
Yeah.
And Nakuru fans, I don't think they've accepted that. My advice to you, please accept and move on.
It's over.
But there's always scores to be settled. during the Saturdays.
yeah. But
enough time to do that.
when this game started, I could see it in Mwamba's players' eyes. They came to play. First of all, Cabras decided it was free entry, so the place was super packed.
Packed, yeah.
I think they even postponed some of the bullfighting sessions. that
All the
they had.
activities.
All the activities in the
I
county
think
were
even
stopped.
the market must have been closed.
Yeah, market was closed.
For everyone
was there.
to.
Yeah, so everyone, the field was super
You
packed.
just assumed they had bullfighting activities.
They probably
in
did. It's
particular.
just a
Yeah, it
season,
probably
isn't it?
did. I mean, what else are you doing in
Okay.
Kakamega? But anyway, it was super packed with
Yeah.
Cabras fans. But Mwamba were not cowed by this. Even in fact, warm-ups area, they warmed up in a little space because cars were parked there.
Yeah.
So we warmed up in like a small space. But despite everything, Mwamba really gave a good account of themselves.
Yeah.
There were instances where Cabras put us under pressure thanks to Wokeret's kicking for
Yeah.
territory. I feel the first try we conceded, and it was a very unfortunate because it's something that we'd worked on throughout the week. Not kicking the ball
Dead.
aimlessly,
Yeah.
no, aimlessly because they have a little back three. They have Yone Kubu, Felix Ayange, and Kevin Keegan. Unfortunately, there was a box kick by a number 9, which was not properly dealt with,
Yeah.
and they counter-attacked from that and scored the first try. But Mwamba kept at it. Tony, our number 10, kept us in the game with kicking. Those crucial kicks that he missed, I think there was about 3 or 4 kicks that he missed that, I mean, I can kick those in my sneakers. That's how confident I was. No, seriously, because there are kicks that can be made. So that's
In your
about
sneakers.
that's about 12 to 15 points that we missed, which I
Yeah.
think
Which
could
was the
have,
difference of the game.
yeah, could have
Yeah.
changed the dynamic of the game. But one positive that I saw in this particular fixture was, by the time Cabras are choosing to go for posts, they have a penalty. They know that the game is tight and they're
Yeah.
kicking for post, and
As opposed to going for the line
for
out.
the
or
line
running.
out, which they've been doing
Yeah.
throughout the season.
So
And
they knew it wasn't.
yeah, it
easy.
was not going to be
And-
easy. And to the extent where there was a bit of time wasting on their part,
Yeah.
I knew clearly we'd rattled them,
Yeah.
which I think for me is a positive.
Yeah.
Is a positive for the boys. It was a massive morale boost. Unfortunately, on the day we could not pick those 12 to 15 points off the boot. That's something we can work on. And I mean, management is alive to the fact that our kickers have not had the best of preparations because of internal reasons that
Yeah.
we cannot talk about. But I'm massively impressed by the effort of the boys
Yeah.
on the day.
That score was very decent, and Brian, my son, was playing for the Homeboys seconds, and the report he brought back home is that he was certain that at the halftime mark that Mamba were going to win the game, and
Wow.
save for the time wasting and
Yeah.
the
Yes,
interference,
And I
and
mean,
people
all credit-
walking, being in the field and stuff.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
all credit to Cabras.
Yeah.
They made substitutions in the forwards that really put us under pressure because they brought in Asuman Mugerwa, who's a Uganda international. He's a Ugandan captain.
Yeah.
And for Mwamba, we did not have that impact off the bench.
Yeah.
So I think they put us under a bit of pressure there as well.
Yeah, so I think that those are decent, a pretty decent
Result from
from
for
Mwamba.
Mwamba.
Kudos to them. I think you worked very well, and that pressure makes anybody crack, especially if you have fans waving and having sugarcane by the pitch side.
But
It
the-
was a
but
charged
you
crowd.
mentioned that the
Definitely
Nakuru
was.
fans said that they're the cousins.
Yeah, don't force relationships.
Yeah.
You know, you're
when
like,
you
They're
beat
going
and
to-
just
yeah,
relax,
it's
be
like that
quiet.
uncle. Have you ever gone to Shags? That guy, do you know who I am?
Yeah.
I'm your uncle.
Yeah.
Yes.
How
You
does that
remember me?
concern me? Do you remember me?
yeah.
Yeah, how does that
I
add
saw you
sugar
when you were
onto
this
your
small.
whatever?
Yeah, I mean, don't force relationships. I mean, I understand
Yeah.
that there's a bit of links between the sponsors
Yeah.
because obviously Cabras and Menengai, but
Brothers and stuff.
yeah,
Nah.
but once we finish with you, just be on the touchline.
Accepted.
Let's just be on the touchline and watch
And
like
cheer
yeah, and
that they beat you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like,
That they beat
cheer,
the-
cheer
yeah.
like the rest of the teams, like Nondis, Strathmore, Machine. Yeah, just cheer like the rest.
All right.
As long as it doesn't look like there's so much.
Yeah,
money.
don't be
Yeah.
salty.
No, if
And don't be salty.
if it's done, it's done. If it's done, it's done.
Okay, let's quickly mention the championship final. How good is Western Bulls and Kisumu RFC as an addition to the Kenya Cup?
It's always good to
Season.
add people.
Yeah.
It's always good to add people.
This particular teams from that side.
Yes,
You know, now it's like
I'll give you history.
someone told me that rugby is
I'll-
comes
I will-
from the Western
I will
side.
tell you, yes. I will tell you. They come from the Western side, but all of them play away from Western.
Yeah.
Other than, of course, Cabras. You see, Cabras have been imported people from South Africa
Yes.
and
Yeah.
Uganda. Yeah, because the people from Western are not playing in Western. The most unfortunate thing is that the standard of the game between the championship and Kenya
And
Cup
Kenya
is
Cup.
very wide. And I see the same thing that happened to these two teams when they came up initially
Yeah.
happening again. There's just too much firepower from everybody in the Kenya Cup, and they shall be sent right back down.
Wow.
You see, the thing is, with the inclusion of Cabras in that part of town, most of the players who are playing for these clubs like Western Bulls and teams around, their best players have been lured to Cabras.
To Cabras, yeah.
So, I mean, and the unfortunate bit is they're even playing for the second team of Cabras. They're not playing in the main team.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know what Western Bulls and Kisumu can do to attract their players back. At least for Kisumu, it's a bit easier. But for Western Bulls, mostly their top players have
Have all
they've all shifted.
to
Even Davis Chenge used to be in Western Bulls. He's now part of the KCB's firepower.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think if you look at it from a rugby perspective, it's good. At least for Cabras, they don't travel. They don't have to travel far away.
At least they have 2 games.
All
Yeah,
the
they have
time,
2 games
you
in that vicinity.
Yeah.
Actually, if you include Nakuru's Oilers and
Nakuru,
And
yes.
Nakuru.
Nakuru,
Yes.
that's 4 games.
Exactly, yeah.
Within, so
At least they don't have to
not
travel
that
all the way to come and play Mean Machine.
machine, yeah.
So, I mean, it's on that perspective, at least it's good for them. But congratulations to Western Bulls and Kisumu.
Yeah.
I mean, Kisumu has a rich history in
I think
producing
for Kisumu, I
players.
played for Kisumu, by
Yeah.
the way.
Yeah.
Oh,
And in leading up to this season, I worked with them pre-season. So I'm quite chuffed that I was involved with them. I think it's something to be very, very proud of.
Yeah.
I just hope they
they have the
backing.
grit
The
to-
good thing also is that Kisumu's backing is not flimsy. They've got Silverstone as the main sponsors.
Yeah.
They've got Louis Otieno, formerly of Microsoft, who's their patron, and a very dedicated man.
Yeah.
And they've got a chairman in Kidenda, Gideon. So these two men are very good, and they're people who want the club to grow. And I probably see a bit of a change in the playing personnel. They're definitely going to go out and look for resources to bring in the right players.
So hawako mbaya.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just saying here they'll
No, I'm just giving. I'm just
Go
giving
back
a
down.
box.
You see, Benja is speaking from teams that they've been promoted,
Yeah.
but then they cannot even honor fixtures that they need to travel.
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
you're giving walkovers and things like that. So we're hoping they can, I mean, just actually.
For Kisumu, I'm
For
sure
Kisumu,
they're going to
yeah.
get the resources to travel.
Yeah.
The players, I'm not sure, unless they do something out of the ordinary.
Give me a good paycheck. I can
Yeah.
I can pick my boots.
Can do anything. As long as the money is good. Anyway,
I'm sure
that is
Benja can
anywhere,
dust
that
his
is
boots
anywhere,
from
that is
somewhere.
Real quick.
We go push ball in
10
Kisumu.
minutes of bad news.
Yeah.
Benja.
Of chaos.
Carol, you need to have seen me in my day.
In your days.
No. You see, that's the difference now in your days.
Oh,
And now,
Be sure. If
Oh,
I'm
10
in that
minutes,
field,
10 minutes of Benja is all you need. Trust me.
if I can work
you know, the good thing is that
pre-season,
we usually have like some medics.
if I
just
can work
around.
pre-season, if I can work pre-season,
Yeah.
I assure you, there's no club I can't play for 10 minutes for.
Oh my God. And I'm saying that the good thing is that we usually have medics just on standby.
Oh.
Because
Let's move on, Kara. I now feel you're targeting Benja.
no, but he's not who started it. Let's
No, you
move
see-
on to this week.
You see, your naivety again is acceptable.
Okay.
For you don't know what you speak about.
It's only that when Benja was playing, all his clips were saved in VHS. You know those.
So we can't find
You can't,
them.
the
even if you
best
find them, you
It's not
can't play
our
them.
fault.
You know
Yeah.
the audacity of my little son telling me, Baba, I don't think you ever played. You don't think I ever played? I've got medals.
Yeah,
filled in
yeah,
the
But
like-
you see,
cabinet.
yeah, like-
when we go to YouTube,
Yeah, like nisaidie Byron rewind cassette nikuonyeshe.
This
oh my
crazy
God,
guy.
please. Let's move on to the finals this weekend.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cabras Sugar, of course, will be facing KCB. Now, this is not the first time that these two are meeting in the finals.
The Mets are quite a bit of times.
Yeah.
I think 11
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
11 times
So,
in the last, since Cabras came to before.
Please don't.
Oh, the 11 times since Cabras was formed. My goodness.
Anyway, so your predictions, Benja.
A very interesting game. I'm gutted that I'm not traveling to Kakamega, but this is a game that will see the mettle of a pure championship side like KCB take on a team that has been on top of the log for the longest of times.
Yeah, yeah.
And seeing what Mwamba did against Cabras, there is a good chance that KCB are going to take it home. However, with 16,000 people from all the markets, all the villages, all the schools congregating in the showground, it's going to be pretty difficult in terms of handling that
All the
pressure.
schools.
But I think KCB is such a team that has had very good preseason,
Yeah.
going to South Africa and stuff, and building the team going forward. Like I've told you, the midfield has transformed tremendously,
Yeah.
and that is going to be where they probably will base most of the attack. But Nick Baraza is playing quite well for Cabras. That is going to be a bit of a problem. However, if the line speed that KCB employed against us, they do the same thing for Cabras, I don't see Cabras having a chance, because when that attack starts from Wokorach and it's closed down such that he doesn't get any meters and he has to pass the ball, he'll be passing the ball to very slow centers. And KCB are getting positive tackles. So the tackle that they move forward and they're giving you pressure. Even as you pass the ball backwards, they're on your face. And if they manage to kick the ball to the back three in KCB.
And remember the last time
as well.
they met in the Kenya Cup, KCB won.
Yes, and they won by a huge margin.
They won by a huge margin.
Now I can pick points in that last game where the tide shifted because Cabra scored first.
Yeah.
And they had good momentum up until they made some silly mistakes and KCB capitalized. Now the thing about Cabras and their backline, because they have a very good backline. Cabras and their backline. So the thing that they need to do before using the backline is the forwards they really have to come to the party.
Yeah.
Because even if you have the All Blacks backline and your forwards do not hit the gain line, it's useless, because it's very easy to defend. Because once you're getting ball under pressure, that's when Tico and Kilonzo can put the pressure in the midfield. But if the big forwards, George Nambua, I don't know, I'm hoping Mike Sadaka will be back fit for this game.
I think if it was an eye, then he probably will.
Probably just a stitch here, stitch there, strap him here, strap him there, so he should be fine.
Don't talk about it. It's all...
No, but they really need to come to the party and give KCB a grunt for their money in the forwards.
Yeah.
What is happening
if
at
they
KCB?
don't, if they don't, then their strength in the backline will be negated, because it's very easy to implement the line speed.
There's something so impressive about the KCB forwards, and that's especially they really tired us in the tackling.
Yes.
Every forward taking the ball is coming at pace, and if you count 6 forwards in six phases continuously, whoever is tackling, be it your back row or the backs, are going to get through somehow.
Yeah.
And if they employ the same thing, I don't see Cabras living up to it.
Despite the fact that
one on one, the KCB forwards are so mobile.
Yes.
You'll find the flanker who tackled you in the first phase running the ball in the third phase. So there are very fluid set of forwards, and that if you take one for one with the Cabras guys, they definitely will outplay them. If
you look at, Benja's mentioned something very important, the mobility of the KCB forwards. If you look at man for man, Cabras, I think they have a bigger set of forwards in terms of weight. If you look at Hilary Mwanjilwa, he's a beast of a man. But for him to be effective, he needs to be close quarters. But if you look at Curtis Lilako, he's a big man, but he's very mobile. And he has the offloads. I mean, he's a fly trapped in a prop's body. That's what I tell him.
I saw him with his fancy
with the fancy passes and everything. If you look at Peter Carrier, Carrier has shed a lot of weight, and that's made him very, very mobile. And he still has the strength.
Olishe is doing so well.
Olishe is very... So
Andrew also is offloading. He's become maturer.
So Curtis will not take on the Cabras forwards directly. He'll force them to move from side to side. Now it's upon the Cabras forwards to be alive to that fact, because once the likes of Nick Baraza end up tackling the forwards,
then the offload is on.
That's a mismatch straight away. But it will be a very, very entertaining game. And I saw comments online about people are reserved. They had reservations about free entry. And,
that is something. That is something, because people are saying that everyone will. Flock the place.
And the reason why we have gate charges sometimes is not just so as we can make money, it's to restrict what sort of people come in. Because if the danger in having people invading the field, and it might have sounded like a joke initially, and people carrying 6-foot long sugarcane, whatever. It actually gets to be a dangerous thing, isn't it? So, I wish
But you see, on the side of Cabras, this is home advantage.
it doesn't matter. Then
This is something they're banking on.
we could have if your players are not good enough, it doesn't matter how many fans are shouting out there. So it's something they ought to have done as a safety measure. You know, we're mixing. Rugby is a different game. Our fans are people who are controlled and can listen, but now with free entry, you find
It means everyone.
there's
No,
dancers,
the thing is-
bullfighters,
Yeah.
Because I was there last weekend, the thing I'd give Cabras that they did well was at the entrance points they actually had APs
Okay.
who were doing the search.
Yeah.
Okay.
So whether you're walking in or you're driving in, you actually had to come out
So
of
there
the
was
car.
good safety,
There was
yeah.
proper
Yeah.
search. Now, having said that, once you're inside the field, one thing they also put barriers around the field, which was something they didn't do during the regular season game that we played away. Now, what my concern
Meaning
was...
they're alive to the fact that.
Yes. My concern was immediately after the full-time whistle in the Muamba versus Cabras game, there was over 300 people who stormed the field.
Whoa.
So for me, I quickly came in and I told Muamba players, let's form a circle.
Yeah.
Let's hold on to each other because you
Yeah.
don't know who's coming from where.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So I think to the security measures that they've already put, one thing they can also add is the barrier around the pitch.
Yeah.
Now
It's
this,
got to be there.
yes, this they stormed the pitch because they'd won. Imagine them storming the pitch if results don't go their way.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I mean, it's something that,
That would be ugly.
they've
And
done-
there's very
Really
little
ugly.
control in the field. Once you get in, you're in the showground.
Yes.
And once you get into the area of play, it's a vast forest.
Yes.
So you really aren't sure that the guy who inspected at the gate is safe enough once he's in the area of play.
Yeah.
See? So
But the
those are
thing is,
concerns.
I mean, please note that KCB fans will also travel because you see, for them, it's
But-
also
but surely,
it's-
Lavi-
they travel and then wanaingia watch hapo Shinyalu.
You
So
know-
for them, because
Yes,
most
yes.
of them come from Kakamega anyway.
Yeah.
So KCB fans will also travel.
But
So-
surely, Lavin, you cannot
yeah.
compare the.
No, I'm just
You know.
saying, in addition to the crowd that's already there,
Yeah.
expect another crowd for KCB.
Yeah.
Because they will
Yeah,
travel.
because they have fans out there.
So it's
relatives
upon
and friends.
It's upon the organizers. I know. Unfortunately, when they set up the tents, they were blown off because it rained heavily the day before. It's upon them to try and organize so that there's a bit more space
Yeah.
between the lines of the pitch and the stands where they are. I don't know how they'll do it, but that's
They need to come up with something
Yeah.
to create the safety, don't they?
yeah. But all in all, it should be a very exciting game.
Yeah.
I'll be happy to see those as many fans. And
Yes.
for me, it's always been the game we've always wanted to push the game to the fans.
Yes.
However, it's got to be done with a lot of precaution.
And restriction, a bit of restriction.
Yeah.
Just a bit.
Yes.
Because that's player safety you're looking at.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So you guys are not going to be in Kakamega, will you?
No.
You never know, man.
Again, you know,
And-
this is Bamba TV.
Yes. I
This is
mean,
Bamba TV.
from the
But
comfort.
What was
surely,
I
I
thinking
mean-
about? It's a quick flight, Kisumu, quick one to
Hey.
Yeah.
super producer, please.
Super
And
producer.
he's,
I just
he's
didn't say- I
listening.
just
He's
didn't say,
listening.
yeah.
He's listening.
We can even
so-
do a live nini from the ground. On the
Oh, from
ground.
the, you know, we just do a quick show and then
Yeah.
yeah.
To the powers that be. Skia Malilia.
Call that maybe. All right, so remember that this game will be live on Bamba Sport at 3:45 p.m. So don't miss out. And with that, we are going to wind up before these guys bully me anymore.
We're not bullies.
No, do you know last week someone actually asked me, why do those guys bully you?
Oh, do we? We look like we bully you.
No, you don't look like you do
Oh, that's news to me.
on live TV.
No, we're just opinionated. There's a difference.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's okay. Last time someone said that Benja made fun of your height, and I was like, ooh, yeah,
But
he
we
did,
are,
but okay.
You know, I'm not too far away from you. Look at, you can see.
Thank you so much,
I'm
guys,
staying out
for
of this
watching.
one.
Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Until next week, do have yourself a lovely night.